What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the rePORTER Show. I finally got the co-host back. I feel like I've done so many episodes without y'all boys. I ain't gonna lie, bro. I feel it.
It's a busy time.
I feel it. It's been a busy time. It's been a different year for us. But hopefully, for the rest of the way, we are gonna be the only ones closing this one out, especially since it is their last season, I guess, being on the show. So we're gonna try to close it out good. But this week or last week, we actually didn't have a lot of sporting events as per usual. Normally it's like 12, 13 games going on and all that stuff going on. But men's and women's basketball had a early release from the conference tournament, so that sort of killed the amount of games that we had to cover. So sucks to say, but I will say it's less information for us to cover. So it's good for me, but bad for basketball, I know. Let's go ahead and kick this one off with men's wrestling. Men's wrestling, as you know, had 3 national qualifiers for that NAIA National Championships. And at 197, John Bray ranked 22nd in the nation. He went 2 and out, so he had a tight loss against the 9th-ranked wrestler in the nation by decision 10-9, so a really tight loss there. And then at 285, 21st ranked in the nation, Emmett Bivens won his first match versus the 9th-ranked wrestler in the nation. And it was not close at all. He demolished him. He won by major decision, 11-2. But sadly, he would go on to lose his next 2 matches. So the last guy we had left was Alex Pena at 149, 12th ranked in the nation. On day 1, he went 2-0, so he took care of business, put himself in a good spot to sort of rest until the next day. He won that first matchup against the 20th ranked wrestler in the nation by decision, 9-6. And then he won the next matchup against the 7th ranked wrestler in the nation in overtime, and he won that one 8-5. So that was a sudden victory match. As you know what sudden victory is. Once you get in that OT, it's first to score. So you know they're scrambling around trying to get that point. So Alex ended up getting the win. It was a quote-unquote upset, but not really an upset. You know, that boy probably should be ranked in the top 5, and
top 5 anyways.
You'll pick up on that is when I get to day 2 for him. Day 2 for him, he was facing off his first matchup of day 2 was against his 2nd-ranked wrestler in his weight class, and he won that one by decision 4-2 to put him in a semifinal match versus the 13th-ranked wrestler in the nation, and he ended up losing that one 13-8. Think about how crazy those rankings are.
Yeah.
You beating everybody above you, and you lose to the one guy that's right there with you. And so, well, I don't even think it's that. I think it's just the fact that those rankings, don't get me wrong.
They're inaccurate.
Yes.
They're very inaccurate.
You know what I'm saying?
I think the bottom line is, everybody, the rankings are what they are. We put our 2 cents in on them. We think they're wrong, but I think the bottom line is everybody. It's the national meet. Everybody there is good enough to win. Otherwise, they wouldn't have qualified.
Exactly.
So I think that's just the truth of the whole thing.
It really is. And so he would go on to the consolation bracket, which is competing for 3rd place. He won his first matchup against the 24th ranked wrestler in the nation by decision 7-6, so a really tight matchup there as well. That put him in the 3rd place match, and he ended up losing that one versus the 4th ranked wrestler in the nation. Ended up losing by pin. So he ended up placing 4th overall at nationals, knocking off a lot of guys at the top and making it really a tough fight for those who did end up beating him. So props to you, Alex, for finishing 4th overall at nationals.
Yeah, I think we definitely got to give him his props, man. I know wrestling, we talked about him a lot this year, but even still, the things they're doing, I still wouldn't even say we've talked about him enough, especially on the men's side. If any other sport finished 4th out of the whole country, it would be a huge deal. So I think we should treat it accordingly. 4th in the nation. That's impressive. Is he a senior, I believe?
He's a senior.
So he is. So that's a heck of a way to go out, man. So I'm proud of him, and I think he's represented the school well.
Yeah,
but not only him, shout out to John and Emmett as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Those guys did go. I think a lot of times, like you said, people don't realize, like, even though some of those guys went 2 and out, or they had an early exit. It's a lot of wrestlers that wasn't even at the tournament.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
It's hard to get there.
It's hard to get there, and then once you get there, it's hard to keep going. So it's really good that we did have 3 guys qualify, and then we even had 1 guy placed in the top 5 in the nation. Not a lot of schools can even say that.
Nobody can say that. And not to mention, we also brought home a SAC championship, which that had never been done before either. So I think this is as good as a year that wrestling has had since I've been here for sure, but I'm sure it's one of the better years we've had in the history of the program here at Wayland. So I got to tip our hat to him.
Definitely. Let's take this one on to women's wrestling. Women's wrestling will be quick because all I'm announcing is the girls that qualified for nationals. They had 6 of them qualify for nationals, so they're taking 6. That's crazy.
Yeah.
At 103, Mallory Dominguez, ranked 15th in the nation. At 124, Tess Barnett going as well. At 131, of course, who else? Mercy, ranked 2nd in the nation. She will be at nationals. At 138, Jordan Suarez, ranked 3rd in the nation. At 160, Mahogany Castle, ranked 14th in the nation. And then at 207, Leilani Sanchez, ranked 13th in the nation. And as you know, earlier in the year, I talked about them having 2 girls ranked at 207. The other girl that was ranked at 207, even though she did get bumped into that top 10 in the rankings, she did get injured, so she will not be able to compete at nationals. So that's a tough loss.
break,
but
man.
I don't think, and I hope I'm not speaking out of order, but I don't think she's a senior.
Okay.
I think she's got more time left, so
That's
hopefully,
good.
you know, she can, you know, have a redemption year.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, you finished the year top, was she 7, is that what you said?
She was ranked 8th in the nation.
Yeah, I mean, you finished in the top 8 in the country. I mean, there's nothing to be sad about. Exactly. I mean,
Absolutely. So we'll be looking forward to them. They will be competing this week.
and I'm just gonna put it out there, Mercy. I want you to come home.
Oh, yeah,
I want
man.
everybody to come
She got
home with
to.
some hardware. But Mercy, the way you've been on a kill streak,
Yeah.
I need you to come home with a medal, man.
Yeah.
But I'd love to see everybody who's competing go get that gold because I still think it's impressive. I mean, six girls on the women's side all competing at nationals. So
you know what that
that's
does?
impressive.
That also, I mean, I don't know how many other schools are bringing how many wrestlers. But what I do know is that bringing 6 girls, you have a good opportunity to place as a team as well.
There's a lot of points on the board.
That's a lot of points on the board.
It's great for our program. It's
It
a lot of
does.
our coaches in the way that they have improved and grown these wrestlers
Yeah.
into becoming what they are.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
nothing but greatness.
I think it's going to be, like you said, a really good thing to hopefully be able to watch. Sadly, a lot of these matches we don't get to watch because they put it on Flow, and I'm not paying for it. Exactly, man. And so the only matchups that they do make free are the championship matches.
Okay.
So if y'all want us to watch
Hey,
y'all and put y'all highlights
do it for
on
the
here,
culture,
you
man.
got to
Do
do
it for the people back at
it. You got to
Wayland,
do
man.
it for us, man, so we can watch y'all online for the free, man. We're going to go ahead and take this one on to women's basketball. Women's basketball, of course, like I said, they were at the SAC tournament versus the 24th ranked team in the nation, MACU, who they have beat very closely over the past 2 times that they played them. Both of those games were, I think, less than 5 points in the win. So a really tight matchup. And they came into this game, and at first it looked pretty steadily. We looked pretty decent. We were up 12-5. But then MACU went on a 23 to 3 run.
I don't know what
went.
happened.
Bro, that
all I
happened
know-
in 6 minutes.
All I know is that there was a timeout. Glorilla came on on the
He ain't
music,
lying.
and after
He's not
that,
lying. Chaos ensued.
yes,
Really?
chaos
Bro,
happened right after that.
We
man.
walked in
I
the
don't-
gym and we showed up a little late. We walked in and I believe we were up like 12-7.
Yes.
And then I mean literally it was you put your head. I looked at my phone, changed the song a couple times, looked back up, and it's like, wow, how did we get down 15 this fast?
And then you start watching, you're like, okay, good defense. Bucket.
Still hit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bucket.
We go down, miss a shot. They come back down.
I don't-
Good defense.
I haven't seen any team get that hot that fast all season.
And so
on all the games I've been
on
watching.
such a consistent run. And it was like we called a timeout to try to slow it down.
Oh yeah. True.
But we'd call a timeout, try to slow them down.
Yeah.
They come straight back out, another bucket.
Yeah.
And it was just like, what more can you do?
Yeah, I mean,
You just got to
other
keep
than-
up with them.
Other than
And
tip
we
hat to
wasn't.
them and try to
We
keep
would've
playing
not.
with them.
Yeah.
And
you
definitely
can't get in a
did
track
not.
race with a team like that whenever they're as hot as they were. It's just you're not going to win those type of games. Do you have more to say about it? You want me to continue? My fault. I
You can
apologize.
go ahead, man.
Yeah,
y'all got it. Y'all was there.
The score tells the story of the game. We lost by 30, and that was with, Megan got hot towards the end of the game. We hit a couple, everybody, Caitlin hit a couple shots, Bobby hit a couple shots. And so that was really being generous. But, it was just one of those games where you really, you can't fault us too much. They went on a run, and then they literally couldn't miss if they tried to.
And it was like, from the games that we had seen earlier this season, the shots they were taking were so out of character. I had never seen that in their bag. I'm talking about pump fake, tween, side step.
Yeah, they were.
Hey,
3 balls.
They were trying new moves, bro. I ain't
Listen,
gonna lie.
bro. You already know once you get to the postseason, you're not playing the same teams
Nah,
anymore.
you're not.
Oh, yeah, no,
You
most
never are
definitely.
playing the
And
same
then
teams anymore.
Also, with that being said, them being close to home,
Yeah.
had that energy in the
Yeah,
building
they
as
had a
well.
lot of fans.
Yeah, they had
And-
some energy in the building
And
as
this-
well. and
it's
it
not
fueled them.
easy to be anybody 3 times. We could play a high school team, and okay, we whack them, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not easy to beat anybody 3 times, especially a team that's as good as MacU was. Well, they probably felt like they should have beat us both times because they had a chance to beat us both times, and in this time they obviously left no doubt. It was just their day. They had our number. They knew they had to beat us to get to where they wanted to go, and that's what they did. So I don't really think it's just a throw the white flag in for the girls. Like, it's just one of those games. But you got to give credit to MacU. I mean, they shot the lights out. So that's all it was.
They did. Like Tuck said, we lost by 30. It was 67-97. It was a really tough way to exit the conference tournament. But what I can say is that we still have life.
I think the biggest thing we need to take from this is more of the fact that it's been proven that we can get whooped. We've been putting a whooping on every team, almost every single game throughout the entire year. And I feel like this was a wake-up call, huge wake-up call going into the national tournament, which we'll be going into soon. And we need to learn how to respond when we're down like that.
That's basketball.
Like, it's basketball, but we haven't been put in that position much all year.
True.
You know what I'm saying?
We haven't. I get that. I think for us, and I'm going to go ahead and get into it because, of course, they still qualified for the national tournament, and they will be playing in a pretty decently rough bracket. What I will say about that, though, is I want to talk about their play style because I think that's going to be the most important thing for them going into the tournament. They average 13 turnovers a game. They've lived off of that mainly because of how high-powered their offense is. They can live with a couple of turnovers like that because they're going to come down and score anyway. And on top of that, their defense is 9 times out of 10 great throughout the entire game. They did have a couple of games where, you know, it didn't look the best, but for the most part, they have a really good defense and they have a really good offense. So you can afford some mistakes. But what I can say is when you run into these tougher teams, those 13 turnover games ain't going to work for you. I think that play style is definitely going to have to be something that they lock down on and key in on because when you go to these teams that we've played against, you got to think about it. I know we've played tough teams, but we've played the same tough teams. The teams that we're going against, they have played tough teams differently throughout their entire season. We're facing off against Carroll, who is 19-11 over the course of the season. Not a great record, right? But their strength of schedule is 15th in the nation. They've played a lot of ranked teams, a lot of top 25 teams, and they do it time and time again. Now, what I will say, in their Q1 games that they've had, they're 2-7. So that means that they don't win a lot of the good games.
Yeah, they haven't won the big ones.
But they have been tested.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. They've been tested. And on top of that, on the other side of our bracket, you'll see that Southern Oregon, who is the second-ranked team in the nation, undefeated on the season, also a really decent schedule, and they win the tough ones. They win the tough ones. When you're 31-0, that explains itself.
The tough ones, the easy ones. I mean, you haven't taken any games for granted.
Exactly, and so they'll be facing off against UC Merced, who I doubt upsets them. They're 17-8 on the year, and they don't seem to be a problem. Their schedule isn't really that strong. So my thing is, hopefully we win that first game, but we're gonna face off against a really tough team. And those turnovers,
on the road.
The turnovers ain't gonna do it for you.
It's not.
It's not gonna do it for you. And so I hope that going into this tournament, you know, we have at least a little bit of momentum because I think it's tough because we all know Emily is questionable. She's questionable. And then we still don't know if Brooklyn is going to be able to play. So those are 2 big pieces. And you can see that when we play in games because you got to think about it. Nothing against the other bigs that we have on the team, but when Megan isn't in the game, it was Brooklyn. But now it's like when Megan isn't in the game, we lose a presence down low. And then on top of that, when you don't have your floor general, that's hard. I know we have 2 other girls that run the point very well. Nothing against them. Peyton's great point guard. Linda, when she's at the one, she runs it well as well. But it's just, you know what your pieces are, and we don't have our pieces right now.
So I think it's going to be, hopefully this week we can figure out who's doing what role. I mean, Emily had her certain role. Megan has her role, but then Brooklyn had her role as well. So first off, we need to hope that Megan stays out of foul trouble because I feel like that's the formula for us losing a ball game is what it seems like so far. But that being said, I mean, we gotta be next man up. So JC needs to go in there and play confidently, and we know she can. She's capable of guarding in the same way that Megan does. Offensively, she's not as much of an on-ball person, but I mean she can move well within the offense and score when she needs to. So I think she needs to have confidence in all the guards as well. But hopefully Emily's out there running. But if she's not, it's like, well, it's March. What are you gonna do now? You know, you still got to find a way to win.
Kind of going along with, like as he's saying, it's confidence. It's a mindset. When things go south, move on. I think that's something that we do struggle with, is moving on from the mistakes, from them getting momentum, and especially when you have key players like Emily hurt or Megan in foul trouble, or even Caitlin's shot not falling or something like that. We don't know how to respond and move on from that. So mentality is going to be one of the biggest factors in these next couple of games.
And one positive thing I will say is the game got very ugly, very fast, obviously, against MacU, but we were sitting right behind the bench. I did hear Cooper say something about just have some pride in the timeout. And it seems like after he said that, we came out and got a couple stops and got a couple easy buckets. So that was just good to see, you know what I'm saying? Even when you know the game is out of reach, people still care and still want to still have a chip on their shoulder. So I still am as confident as ever in the girls. I think, I mean, they've had a week to prepare. They're going to be fresh. So, I mean, I think we have as good a chance as anybody to win the whole thing, to be honest with you.
We do. We've had a really good year, and because of that, we had a lot of awards come out to us. Megan Nestor was SAC Player of the Year. She was also All-SAC First Team and also SAC All-Defensive Team. Caitlin Jordan was All-SAC First Team. Lena Bryce was All-SAC Honorable Mention, as well as Peyton North and Emily Segala. And then Brooklyn Hurtado was SAC All-Freshman Team. So a lot of awards went out to the ladies because they had a great year, and the year ain't over with.
It's not.
So hopefully they go to this national tournament, and all we're talking about next week is how wonderful they played.
True.
Next, we got men's basketball. Men's basketball also at the SAC tournament versus the 24th ranked team in the nation as well. But this team was Nelson. And we came out in that first half, and it was a really back and forth game, as we've seen time and time again against really tough competition in our conference. What I'll say is that they had a lot of fouls from both sides. I don't know if that was just because of the way we was playing or if the rest was just tweaking. But it was a lot of foul calls early in this one, so of course both teams got to the free throw line pretty often. But we went on a run, a little bitty run. We went on a 9-0 run thanks to back-to-back threes from Kabine, and Brett added one as well. So it was 25-17, a little ways through that first half. But knowing a team like Nelson, they're not going to stay down. You still got to put your foot on the gas and keep going. And both teams shot probably the exact same from the field in the first half. Both teams shot 48% from the field. So it was tied at 46 all at the end of the first half. So as you can see there, they did not lay down. They came back and they made it a game. Then we came out in the second half, and we had a lot of open looks from three, and they were not hitting. And as I've seen that time happen before, I was worried, and rightfully so, because near the end of this game, things started to open up for Nelson because of the fact that we weren't hitting the shots that we were getting. On the offensive boards, of course, we were working hard for second chance points, keeping ourselves in the game, playing good defense as well. All the things that have sort of been good characteristic traits of our team all throughout the season. But the problem was we weren't hitting the shots that we needed to, and it came down to the end. We were down 3 with under a minute left, and we ended up turning the ball over. We did get another opportunity, but it was nothing else left to make of it. We ended up losing this one 77-83. I know.
Yeah, man.
I know.
That's one, man, you just hate to lose.
Yeah.
It's like Nelson is obviously, man, they're ranked 24 and they won the SAC for a reason. They're a good team. Yeah. Personally, even to this day, I wouldn't just say that they're better than us. I think they're more consistent than us. Okay. And they're a team that no matter what, if you get them down 10-15, they're going to make a run. You can just count on it. They're going to make a run.
It was little things.
Yeah.
They capitalized on the small mistakes.
Exactly. It's like as soon as you have a chance to put them out, I mean, it was 18 points to 21 points. It's only 3, but it feels like a lot bigger of a difference whenever you're the team that's up. Yeah. We had a couple chances to get them down by bigger and bigger, and we just couldn't finish possessions. I mean, they'd miss a 3, and we wouldn't get the rebound, and they'd get an and one put back or kick back out to a 3. It seems like almost every time they got a rebound offense rebound and kicked it back out, they made the shot. I mean, they're just a team that feeds off of those type of plays, and they can go on a run very fast. But I think 17 turnovers against a good team, you're not going to win. That's just the bottom line.
Yeah, and what really hurt was the turnovers that came in clutch moments.
Yeah.
Because I think
two of them in the last minute,
two of them in the last minute. And it was just like, man, we basically were giving it to them at the end because we had the opportunities to take control of the game. And like you said, either we weren't getting that second rebound or, we was letting them get second chance points, kicking it back out like you said. We was not getting rebounds, and then when we did have the ball, we would come down the court and we have a turnover, and it's just like, man, yeah. And so it was a tough way to end the season because that was the end of the season for men's basketball. They did not have an at-large bid for the NAIA tournament, and they will not be traveling for the NCCAA tournament. So that's it for men's basketball this year, man. And I think that they knew. I mean, Tuck said it time and time again that this was going to be a tough year because of how good the conference was. I still think we really could have came out on top in a lot of games that we did not. But it's just reality where we're at now.
Games.
Yeah. A lot of one-possession games.
Some that we won and some that we lost.
Exactly.
Those last ones just hurt in the long run.
Yeah, nobody beat us by, I don't think one team beat us by double digits. Maybe one, and it was we were fouling at the end, and it got to 10 or 11. But, man, it's just one of those seasons that was, to be honest with you, was a coin flip. It felt like every game we had a chance to win every single game we played, and we didn't win every single game, obviously. But what's crazy to me is just 3 weeks ago we were right here from winning the SAC.
Yeah, right.
You know, so I feel like, and even like look at John Brown. Within 1 week they went from potentially first. They were playing for the championship, and then they dropped all the way down to a 5 seed, and they had to travel here obviously to play us in the conference tournament. So that just shows how close of a race it was in the conference. But I just feel like, man, it's like once the season was over, of course, man, you're not happy, you're sad, and you think the season's a disappointment. But I don't want to say this season was a disappointment just for our standards. It is, you know. When thinking about Coach Guyan, he expects to be playing through March every year. And so it's hard for me to put it in perspective that some teams would have it would have been a great success for them to even make it to where we got, just a second round of the conference tournament to finish in that top 8, and we top 4 for us. So, you know, you can take it how you want it. There's nothing you can do about it, but I just think playing in March is a blessing in itself, and so instead of just mourning over we lost and this and that, it's like, man, some teams, their only goal is to make the conference tournament. So that's what happens when you play for a coach who has high standards, or play for a team who you expect to play for championships, nothing less. So in that aspect, of course, you wish you were there, but I'm not disappointed. I wouldn't call it a disappointment. You know what I'm saying?
No, I don't think any winter sport has had a disappointing season. I think every single winter sport has brought a lot of excitement to the season, have put themselves in really good situations to win and be champions. Y'all were competing for first place at one point in time. The women were competing for first place at one point in time. The men's actually went and won the SAC tournament. The women's team got second place by 0.5 points. You know what I'm saying? So, like, the entire winter sports have done more than expected. I think that I won't say more than expected. I think I expected all of them to do great. But what I'll say is they did everything that led to an exciting winter season for all winter sports.
For sure.
So like you said, ain't no point in hanging heads low when everybody has had a really good year.
And that's the game of basketball, man. Sometimes you can be as prepared as you want to be, and you can do all the effort and energy plays. You can make those whenever you need to, and sometimes the ball doesn't roll your way. I feel like that happened to us a couple times this season, but nonetheless, man, it was a lot of fun. I appreciate all the student support at the games, and it was a blast. So.
Absolutely. I want to get into these awards for the men's. Quentin Coleman, All-SAC, first team. Julian Perez, or Julian Perez, how he say it?
Julian.
Julian? Okay, my fault, man. Julian Perez, Freshman of the Year, and SAC All-Freshman team, of course. Kabin Kaba and Brett Leach, both All-SAC honorable mention. So shout out to y'all for getting those awards at the end of the year. Now, let's take this one on to baseball. Baseball, of course, had a matchup against the 17th ranked team in the nation, MACU. And I'll say it, they've been ranked before, and they didn't fare too well when they came here. This was the same situation. They came down to us, and in game one, I'll say we had some early trouble in the top of the first, runners in second and third with no outs. and Tate got out of it. No runs allowed. He struck out the first guy, got the next guy to hit a ground out, and then the last guy flew out. So he got out of it with no runs scored there. Both teams had some timely hitting over the course of this game and scored when they needed to, but our big inning came in the 5th when Delvis stepped up to the plate and he hit a RBI double. And of course, after Delvis, and you'll notice this pattern as I continue to go on throughout this series, Felix came up and hit a go-ahead 2-run home run to put us up 5-4 late in the game. McHugh would tie it, though, going into the last inning. But Christian Toledo, I tell you what, speed kills, man. When you know how to run a base pass, it really helps you out. I'm going to explain this one to you. Christian got on base with a double, and I put parentheses around that because, or quotations around that because he hit the ball to the right center gap. The center fielder came over there. He fielded it, but he bobbled it. So instead of stopping at first, Christian just kept going, and he ended up stretching out a double. Wow. So then he gets himself in scoring position. Next guy comes up to the plate, hits a sac fly out to the outfield. Christian pushes it, tags up, advances to third base, and then on the very next pitch, he scores on a pass ball to get the go-ahead run, and that would end up being the winning run. We ended up winning this one 6-5. Wow. So a hustle plays.
Good awareness, yeah. Awareness as well.
From this guy. So shout out to you, Christian, for earning that last run for us, and it was a good team win. It was a great way to start out the series against a team that's ranked in the top 25. Exactly, hard-fought win.
Go in there and hit them first, pretty much.
Yeah, hit them first.
You ain't here to just play around.
Exactly. Now let's go ahead and get into Game 2. Game 2 was a very, very exciting matchup because it was a back-and-forth match. Man, why is my stuff tweaking right now? I'm trying to get to the highlights. I'm trying to get to the highlights, man, and my stuff not wanting to scroll. But anywho, Game 2, Brandon got in some trouble early. He got in trouble early. In the top of the first, he had bases loaded with no outs after 2 walks and a hit. The next guy comes up to the plate, and unlike other times where we've got it done in clutch situations, next guy comes up to the plate, he hits a grand slam. So we're down 4-0 in the first inning. The next guy comes up, he hits a home run. So now we down 5-0, and as you can imagine, all the energy is on that side of the field. So of course we had to go to the bullpen early, and Potts came out of the bullpen, and he did really well. But I want to get into how we answered that 5-0 start from McHugh. Let's go ahead and check out some of these highlights, man. Delvis steps up to the plate, mashes one over the left field fence. So, of course, Delvis starts us off with the solo shot. And then Felix steps up to the plate after another hit. What does he do? He drills one into the left kiddie pool. That's what they call it over there. And that was a 2-run shot by Felix, and so that made it 3-5. And so then in the top of the second, it was a spitting image of the first. We came out in the top of the second, and he hits another home run. Man. So he's got a 2-home run game, exactly. 2-home run game. And then who follows up? Felix again hit another home run. So they had the same exact outcome, in the same exact way, and we went up 6-5. So now we're up 6-5. And Potts is dealing on the mound. Potts came in, like I said, he came out of the bullpen early, and normally coming out of relief, if you don't remember, Potts used to be a Game 1 guy. Yeah. So he's coming out of relief, and this probably feels very normal to him because he's up on the mound and he's dealing. He's handling business. They only scored 1 run through 6 2/3 innings, and he only gave up 4 hits and added 4 strikeouts. And so the 1 run that he did give up, though, it came in the top of the 7th. And as you know, we played 2 7-inning games on the first day. Yep. And so that's the last inning. So it came in the last inning to tie it at 6. So then we had to go to the bullpen. We go to the bullpen, and we get to a clutch moment. It was runners in scoring position. Felix was up, and what does he do? He gets up there, and he gets the strikeout. And so he strikes out the guy to end the inning, and that allowed us to go into extra innings. And so then in extras, Felix loaded the bases as the top of the 8th. It's top of the 8th. He walked the first guy, walked the next guy, and then he, I think he hit the last guy. So then it was bases loaded with no outs in the last inning, in extra innings. You know what I'm saying? So scoring 1 run, even though we always hit last, allowing a team to score one run, it hurts. It really hurts. So now you got bases loaded with no outs. So we go to Christian from center field. He steps up to the plate, man. He steps up to the plate, not physically, but mentally he did exactly what we needed him to do. The first guy, he got him to hit a infield fly, so it was automatic out even if we didn't catch it. Then the next guy, he hit a ground ball to the first baseman, and he made a very heads-up play going to home, so they did not score the run. So then we had 2 outs. So now we got 2 outs with bases loaded, and this guy hits a pop fly to left field, but we did not get to it.
Oh, man.
And they scored 2 runs on the pop fly.
Wow, credit to the dude for hitting it.
Yeah, man.
We got to go get that one.
We got to go get it.
We got to go get that one,
We
man.
were down 6-8, and we weren't able to answer back. We ended up losing this one, like I said, 6-8. And what sucks is we knew that we were going to Christian at the beginning of that inning. I talked to some of the guys. I asked me, like, what was going on in that situation. They knew they were going to go to him, but what really hurt us was waiting to put him in, because after the first walk, you probably want to go ahead and go to the next guy, but then he walked another guy, then it was first and second, then he hit the last guy, and then we put him in. And so I feel like if we would have put him in a little bit earlier, we probably it might have been a different situation. We might have pulled out a win.
The damage is already done.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So then we go into game 3. And this was a weird series. They played on Friday, but they didn't play on Saturday because of the snow. So they had a day of rest in between their series.
Strange.
Very strange. And then they came back on Sunday and played the finale of the series. And boy, was it a finale. Felix in the top of the second with runners in scoring position. Second and third, no outs. What does he do? Infield fly out to left field, and then a strikeout. So he gets out of it. Both pitchers did very well through 6 innings. I think both teams ended up going to the bullpen after the 6th inning. So both pitchers pitched exactly 6 innings, and they did exactly what both teams needed them to do. There wasn't a lot of scoring. The only run came from a solo shot by McHugh in the third. So through 6 innings, it was just 1-0. So a really good game. So we went to the bullpen. They went to the bullpen, and the party started. I'm telling you that right now. The party started once we went to the bullpen because McHugh came up and with 2 outs. With 2 outs, I'm thinking to myself, you know what? We finna get out of this. What does the guy do? He hits a 2-run home run. Just got over the wall. It was a crushing feeling. But we got guys too. Who else but Delvis? Answers.
Delvis had himself a weekend.
I'm telling you, bro. He hit a deep shot. That's 400 plus right there. Straight away.
Yeah,
Exactly. He hit that one a long way.
Business office.
And who do you think followed up Delvis's home run?
Felix.
Felix comes up to the plate. He hits another home run.
Wow.
So this was just an exciting weekend.
What a weekend for him.
Exactly. So they made it 2-3. But then McHugh was not playing. They were seeing Vargas pretty well. They came up and they hit a home run as well to follow up. So he answered with a home run of his own. That made it 2-4. So bottom of the 8th, we come up and it was huge. Bases loaded. Cooper gets one through the left side of the infield, scores 2 runs to tie the ball game. Tie the ball game at 4-all. So then it's 4-all, and to put the nail in the coffin, who does it? Felix steps up to the plate, hits a 3-run Oppo Taco bomb over the fence to make it 7-4.
Man, Felix had a field day,
I'm
man.
telling you, just wait till I get to these stats. So we ended up winning this one 7-4, but Juan would end up closing it. Like I said, we won the series 2-1 against the 17th ranked team in the nation, and it was just a really exciting game to see. And I'm gonna tell you, Felix, 8 for 12 on the weekend.
Wow.
10 RBIs, 5 home runs. And to add on to that, he pitched 6 innings, only giving up 1 run, and struck out 9 guys. If he's not the player of the week,
he felt like Ohtani this week.
If he's not the player of the week, I don't know who could be player of the week.
Bro. You can't have a better week than that. National player of the week.
Yeah.
You gotta get national player of the week.
Pregame meal, pregame playlist, whatever you got going on.
Bro,
Do that every time.
that was
Don't
crazy.
change nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, that was ridiculous. And Delvis, he had a really good weekend as well. A lot of the times I don't show the defensive highlights, but Delvis was playing a really good defensive game throughout the entire series. He was 4 for 12 from the plate, but those 4 hits that he had were huge. He had 3 home runs and 4 RBIs.
Props to the pitchers for closing
Exactly.
out.
Exactly. I was just going to get to that. For the most part, pitching staff did very well, especially when your starter has a blow-up inning like that. Most of the time, teams implode. But we went to a guy that we knew has done it time and time again. Potts comes up, steps up big, gets it done.
Potts.
Exactly. And then I don't know if y'all remember a lot in the game one, Tate was a guy that struggled with walks. Well, in game one, he had no walks the entire outing. So that, like you said, I'm glad you pointed it out. Pitching had a really good weekend as well, and hitters stepped up when we needed them to, and we ended up taking a series from a nationally ranked team.
Yeah, it's big time for us, not only for the SAC, but maybe we'll start to get some more respect nationally as well. I mean, MACU, they're going to continue to have a good season, so us beating them, of course, we'll see them again, won't we?
Yeah, we will.
But us beating them this go-around, that's going to make us look all that much better.
Yeah. I think it's not a guarantee that we'll see them again, but because we play every team once in a series, but what happens is, of course, once you go to that conference tournament, you're probably going to end up being on MACU side or, depending on who's hot on the other side, Oklahoma City or USAO.
Oh, okay.
All of the good teams, I don't know how, they're all right there in the Oklahoma City area for baseball.
Yes.
And so that is that. But speaking of Oklahoma teams, let's get on to softball. Softball they had a midweek matchup against Southwest. Let me get to that one first. They won that series 2-0. They took care of business. I don't know if it's Adriana or Adriana. I'm sorry, whichever one it is. I will learn it to pronounce it right. Adriana, that's what it is. Okay, so she threw a complete game shutout in the game one against Southwest, allowing no runs on 4 hits and added 5 strikeouts. As you could imagine, with a game like that, you're gonna win because the other team didn't score.
Yeah.
And so, but all of our runs came from one terrible inning from Southwest. An error, 2 walks gave us more than enough opportunities to score. I believe Berkeley stepped up to the plate and hit an RBI single. Then Christian came up, hit a sac fly RBI. Then Kaylee came up to the plate and she hit an RBI single, and that made it 3-0 in that one inning. And that would be all of the scoring in the game. So we ended up winning that first one 3-0. Then we came out in game 2, and it was a lot of offense. Another good performance from our pitching staff. Amber threw 5 innings, only allowed 1 run. A lot easier, like I said, to get the win when your pitchers are doing what they need to do. And the top of the second was a big inning for us. Mackenzie came up to the plate. She hit a 2 RBI double. And then with bases loaded, Brooklyn came up and hit a bases clearing triple. So Brooklyn always carrying the load. Ended up making it 5-0 at that point. We went on to win this one 9-1. So we won the midweek series going into the matchup against USAO. Now, as you know, USAO is ranked 3rd in the nation. This is no team to play with. But
No, they are not. No, they are not.
But what I have learned is USAO, for the most part, they're not a hitting team. They live off of the pitching, because I read up on them, and for 7 years straight, they've had the SAC Pitcher of the Year. So 7 years straight.
Yeah.
So that means that even when the girl leaves, they got somebody else right behind her.
Yeah, you can throw too.
Yeah, so 7 years in a row is
that's-
wild. Are you kidding me?
Yes.
SAC Pitcher of the Year for 7 years in a row. And who did we face in game 1? Their SAC Pitcher of the Year, 3-time All-American.
Oh yeah, she's a real deal. I'm gonna put my little 2 cents in. She's from Vernon, so they used
okay.
So I done seen her on a bump a time or two against Childers, and she
didn't play?
Man, yeah, she tore
play.
Childers up.
Yeah.
So I'm not shocked when I see she's still doing it to other people.
Yeah, man. What I will say, though, is that we played a really tight game. Addie pitched very well. She threw a complete game. She only gave up 6 hits and only gave up 1 earned run. I say earned because we gave up 3 runs because of errors. Some errors here and there allowed them to capitalize on that. But they did only score 3 runs in the game, and then Addie struck out 4 of their batters over the course of the game. But like I said, when you're facing a 3-time All-American, 3 runs might be all you need to get, because that's exactly what it was. We got 1 hit. We got 1 hit. She had a perfect game. Maybe not a perfect game, but maybe just a no-hitter. She had a no-hitter through 6 innings, and then at the very end, in the very last inning, we finally got a hit. But of course,
I'm glad we got one.
Yeah, I'm glad we got a hit.
We messed up the no-hitter, but still.
I'm glad we got a hit, but we ended up.
Yeah.
Got to do something. But we ended up losing 0-3, and then we went on to game 2, and this was basically the same situation, man. They had a really good pitcher on the mound, but we had a really good pitcher on the mound as well. I just said it correctly, Adriana, right?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Adriana, she did very well on the mound. She kept them from having any explosive innings. They had opportunities to score, but we just couldn't get a hit. I won't say we couldn't get a hit. We couldn't get a big hit. The problem was Let me explain these to you. Bottom of the first, we had bases loaded with 1 out. So you want to at least get 1 or 2 runs out of this. We hit a sac fly that scored 1 run, but that's all we got out of it. So it was 1-0 at that point. And then in the bottom of the fourth, we had runners on second and third with no outs again. Want to get at least those 2 runs in. Christian hit a sac fly on a rope, so it wasn't really a fly ball, but she roped it, but it was straight to the girl, so she caught it, but we tagged up and we scored on that, and that made it 2-3. So we didn't get any hits. We got sac flies, but sac flies only get you 1 run. You know what I'm saying? You need a hit to get you those runs in, but because we couldn't get any more runs across, and we ended up losing this one 2-4. A lot of the hits that we had, they were just right at people, and you know how that feels. You know, it's just like one of those games where like I'm doing what I need to do,
And then you just like,
and
Nothing you can do about it. Nothing you can do about it.
Exactly. So we ended up losing 2-4. So we dropped the first 2 games, and then the rest of the series, they showed that they were the 3rd-ranked team in the nation because they beat us in Game 3, 2-13, and they beat us in Game 4, 1-10. So USAO's bats finally came alive.
Yeah.
And they did what they needed to do.
I mean, I'm not gonna say it's no shock because I think our women, we're a growing program, but we can compete with some of the best in the SAC. But that team is one of the best in the nation for a reason. So, I mean, you wanted to put up a better fight, you wanted to win, of course, but if you lose, you got to move on. Like that's a team they're gonna win a lot of ball games. I saw the pitcher got National Pitcher of the Week, so she must have been having a field day, doing her thing. But maybe we'll see them again, hopefully down the line, and we're more experienced at that point.
The thing about that pitcher, she had a rise ball, if I'm not mistaken, and she was living in the upper part of the zone, which on a windy day like that, where the wind is blowing against the balls that you hit, she was doing exactly what she needed to do, because even if we did get a hit, we were hitting it into the wind, so it was sitting up in the air, and they was catching it easily. So she did exactly what she needed to do. She was staying up in the zone. If we weren't swinging and missing, we were swinging and hitting it right to people. So it just sucks, man, because I ain't gonna lie to you, she legit. I mean, you can't even, it is what it is. Sometimes you play people that are just like that. You got to tip your hat to them, and it is what it is. So we ended up getting swept this series 4-0. But, of course, hopefully moving forward, I think competing like that, though,
especially
in those first 2 games,
against a pitcher like that.
Yeah, I think they're gonna. Think they're gonna be all right moving on. I think that there's only 1 or 2 other teams that are gonna give us a big problem. Of course, OCU. Like I said, that Oklahoma area, they just got teams, man. But I think the rest of this conference, we should be able to handle our business. So hopefully, moving forward, they do just that. That was all the games that we had over the course of the week. Certified nominee for us isn't going to be anybody other than Felix. When you have a week like that,
it's got to be Felix.
It's got to be Felix.
Shout out to honorable mention though. Shout out to Alex Pena though. Well, Delvis as well.
Alex too. You right.
Yeah, shout out to Alex though. But
you know, Alex
Felix got to get it.
You know, Alex gonna get his own post because you know
that's true. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. He gonna get his own post anyway.
That's facts. So Felix, he went dumb.
Yeah, definitely. Let's go ahead and get into these upcoming games, man, and close this one out. Golf. Currently at the top of Texas Invitational, both men's and women's. Baseball will be facing off in a midweek series against the number 2 D2 team in the nation, Angelo State. Last time we played Angelo State, they put a thumping on us. So hopefully we come out here.
We better.
And we do something good, man.
Another performance from Felix.
Yeah, we're going to need something crazy. I mean, like I said, bro, this team is good. This team is good. We've lost games that we shouldn't have lost, but when we play good ball, we beat a lot of good teams. So we'll see what happens at the end of the week. Friday, beach volleyball. We'll be hosting a tournament here at home. Wayland Baptist Invite. Y'all know where the tennis court's at.
Up, man.
They are now the beach volleyball
no
courts.
longer tennis.
Exactly. Women's wrestling will be starting at the NAIA Championships, of course. Women's basketball will be facing off against Carroll on Friday, a late night game in a round of 64. So if y'all want to tune into that, if they not taxing, y'all can tune into that. But they probably will be asking for some money. Saturday, baseball has a weekend series at Southwestern Christian, and softball has a weekend series at Texas Wesleyan. Now, I got a minute left. I want y'all to, if y'all didn't go to the, what you call it?
Mr. Wayland.
Mr. Wayland.
No.
I didn't know that I had a co-host on air that could sing or carry a little bit of a tune. You know what I'm saying? So why you ain't never sing on the show before?
I'm not singing on the show.
You're not gonna sing. He's not gonna sing on the show.
Come on, bro. Get the people what they
You
want.
gotta get the people. You know what I'm saying? They trying to hear your vocals, man. You was out there, man. You trying to act all nice now, but you was out there with the roses
to the crowd,
trying to talk to people. He had the
play
suit on and everything. Don't play shy now. If you want to sing, you need to be on here singing.
It's a performance type of thing.
Okay. We're gonna get him singing on this show before the year is over with.
The last episode.
Okay. We're gonna see about that. Last thing I'm gonna say is I lost my wedding ring on campus somewhere.
Wow.
I got the silicone one on, but the gold one sitting around here somewhere. I'm telling you right now, if you see it, it's on campus somewhere. I know it is. I lost it on campus. If you see it, don't pick it up. It ain't real gold, so you ain't gonna get no money out of it. You know what I'm saying? Just bring it back to my office, 113 Harold Auditorium. All right. We'll see y'all same time next week.
I know the wife ain't happy about
She
that
wasn't
one,
happy
boy.
about that one, man.